We will begin today with our washing machine from Qigong. Move our body, feeling those back muscles slide and glide. So we're just loosening up the muscles of our back. When we notice that we've got some ease, we'll go ahead and switch to side bends. So we slide the hand down the side of the leg. This is called dog wags tail in Qigong. So we imagine we've got a big tail out behind us and we are sweeping it from side to side. Last one, we need to do some twists. So let's do spinal cord breathing with a twist. We bring our forearms together, we round through the back. That's the exhale. And then we inhale, twist to the side, elbows back, look up. Exhale back to center. Inhale to the other side, elbows back, look up. We'll do 3 sets of these. And then what I call bobbing bird, we put our soft fists right across the top ridge of our pelvis. We push our hips forward, lean back, look up, and then hinge forward, knees are bent, gazing at the floor. So this is a really good stretch through the back body for the legs and through the chest as we lean back. We want to have a knee bend to protect our hamstrings from overstretching. This is a really nice stretch also on the front body, like all the way from pubic bone up to the neck. Not an easy place to stretch. This is a good one. All right. Let's do shoulder rolls, shoulder circles, both shoulders. And then we're going to do our counter push-ups, or you can do them on the back of a chair if the chair is very heavy and sturdy. So like here's what that would look like if you've got a really sturdy chair. Mine is sturdy, but it wants to slide, so that doesn't work. So I'm going to go to my counter. We want to take our feet away from the wall enough so that we get an extension, and then we come down into that push-up. You can choose, experiment with how far apart your hands are, see what feels best. And I'm up on my toes. Finishing up with those, we go back to our workout area. And we'll go ahead and do our jumping or hopping. So if you have a rebounder like this, you can jump on that. You can start out with modified jumping jacks, real jumping jacks, or hopscotch. And bring a smile to your face. Nothing like a little hopscotch or jumping jacks or jumping to bring you joy. When I first started these, I might have had a little dread in with the joy, but now they're just fun. If you have spinal stenosis or spinal compression, especially of the lumbar spine, that might not be the best thing for you. So you might choose jumping jacks or modified jumping jacks or jumping on a rebounder. And it's also a great way to get our heart rate up. Nice. Let's go ahead and grab our ball. If you don't have a ball, you're going to want to do this first set on a chair. Or something to sit on. So I don't think you'll get the same effect by being on the floor. So we are sitting on our ball, and we're not just sitting and dumping on the ball with all of the rounded spine. We're not dumping through the belly. We're sitting up nice and tall, and we come off so that most of the back of our legs are not touching the ball. Of course, we have to have some on the ball or we'd fall off. So the first thing we're going to do is just experiment with lifting up a leg and lifting up another leg. Now, this seems pretty easy if you're on a chair, but add the challenge of holding your ball stable. So these are marches. If you don't have a ball, you can march around your room if you don't want to be in a chair. So we're activating our hip flexors at our hip creases. One more set. We want to keep our abdominal muscles engaged. Next up, we're going to extend that right leg out in front of us. This can be tricky. It's harder than it looks, which is why these stability balls are so amazing, because we are using our core muscles to keep from falling off. I've got my hands resting on the ball, and then I'm going to circle that ankle. My other foot, my bracing foot, is moving because it's helping me stay balanced on the ball too. So we'll go about 10 circles in each direction, or until you feel like you aren't able to stay on the ball. And then you stop and put that foot down. At any time, keep yourself safe. Harder than it looks. We'll do the other side. Extend that leg out in front of us, get a nice steady base. Hands are on the ball. We're using our core muscles, and we circle that ankle. Ten to 15 circles in each direction. You might notice it's easier on one side than the other. Okay. And then we'll just extend the leg and bring it back down. Extend the leg, bring it back down. Last one. And then we are going to straighten the right leg, and we'll lift it up and put it back down. Lift it back up, put it back down. So it's up. And again, you can be doing these in a chair if you don't have a ball. This is another one that looks pretty simple, but it isn't. It's using a lot of core strength. So you're doing about 10 of those, 10 to 15. Switch to the other side when you're ready. Get your nice stable base. And do 10 to 15 of those. We can do our crossbody knee lifts. We'll just do 3 sets of these. Then we're going to go back to our ball to do our crunches. Now that our core is warmed up, we're going to slide into our positioning for our crunches. Remember, the crunch activation happens between pubic bone and rib cage, or it is, the neck is not, the upper body and neck are not what's working here. They're chilling out. So begin. See if you can do 20 to 30 of these. Everybody count your own. Your neck is just resting in your interlaced fingers. You're not pulling on the neck to get yourself up. The glutes are mostly off the ball. You can do these on the floor. Got our elbows out wide. There's definitely a sweet spot where you get that ball right. For me, it's right across and underneath my bra strap area. And if you aren't counting, you can always wait until you feel that sense of fatigue in the muscles. And then you do a couple more. Do you notice that fatigue? And then you rest. So however many you are doing, after you finish, you take a nice little rest. Notice that even resting, your core muscle group is active to keep you upright on this thing. And now we're going to do just a few crunches with a twist. So we come up and twist to the right, not very far, and we come back down. We come up and twist to the left and come back down. It is not much of a twist. We've been warming up these muscles with our Russian twists, preparing for this movement. Very small, light twist. We're just catching the obliques. All right, let's come off the ball in whichever way is safest for you. Be sure and check in and see if your ball needs aired up. Mine did. It's been inflated since November and it was time for some air. Grab your dumbbells. And if you don't have a ball, you can come back to the floor. We are going to sit back on our ball and slide back down so that our mid-back region, upper back region is supported and our head is supported. We are lifting up through the hips. We're going to do our shoulder presses, chest press. So we have our elbows out to the side. We're not letting them come down toward the ball. They're straight out from the shoulder. And we press up and come back down. 2, 3, 4. Up. 2, 3, 4. You're going to do 5 to 15, depending on how much weight you have. Keep the hips lifted. We want the lower body engaged too. Come down and rest after you get your 5 to 15 done. Go ahead and lift through the hips where we're activating those muscles. This is such a good method. Now let's do some chest flies. So it's like we're hugging a tree. We've got our dumbbells in our hands. We open up, so we're hugging a bigger tree, but we do not take that out too far. We do not want our elbows to drop below the shoulders. So their upper arms are above the shoulders. We're working the muscles of the of the upper chest, the pectorals. We are also working our core to keep us stable on this ball. So listening to your body, when you get to that point of fatigue, when you can't maintain your form, that's how you know it's time to stop. If it's so easy that you could do 15 or 20 of these and you never feel fatigue, you never lose your form, it's time to get a heavier set of weights. And don't go up too far. If you're using 2 pounds, go to 3. If you're 3, go to 4. 4, go to 5. 5, go to 8. I haven't been able to find a 6-pounder, so do what you need to do. Now, depending on the amount of weight that you're using, I'm using 8-pounder. So I set one of my weights aside, back down on the floor. We're going to do skull crushers, and we're going to make sure we don't crush our skull. So for me, I'm holding this like a goblet. And I'm keeping my elbows in, and I lower that weight down behind my head and then extend. I don't straighten my elbows all the way. Lower down. Now, if you're using 2 weights, you have a weight in each hand, or you're using, if your weights aren't very heavy, you could hold both at the same time and do it like this. But if you were using 2 weights, 1 in each hand, your arms would be parallel to each other and you would lower down and lift up. This is a tricep movement, strengthening movement. So the back of our arms. And we're listening to our body. When it starts to get fatigued, we do 2 more. Unless those 2 would cause us to compromise our form or cause injury. And then we stop. And whenever you're ready, you get yourself off the ball without falling on your behind. Always, this just getting on and off the ball is going to keep us young. And now take the heaviest weight you have. Maybe that means picking up 2 weights in each hand, if that's doable. We're going to do a farmer's carry. So right now I've got 20-pounders. But maybe you've got 2 3s in one hand and 2 2s in another. We're just going to walk around like we're carrying buckets of something heavy to go out and feed the pigs. Farmer's carry. Maybe you have something heavy that you can lift in each hand. Maybe you've got a kettlebell. That would also work. We're just walking around carrying something heavy. So some of the new research, Stacy Sims, Dr. Stacy Sims is one of them that is a proponent, and this is the way she says it. As a postmenopausal woman, this isn't a quote, this is just the general message. As postmenopausal women, we need to lift heavy shit. That's exactly how she says it. So find something heavy, lift it, and walk around. And maybe if you don't do it during class, you do it during your day. Laura mentioned yesterday that, we could also look at like thrift stores, Goodwill stores, something like that for used equipment that people buy with good intentions and don't use. So here's another way you could lift something heavy with kettlebells. We are wanting to put load on our skeletal system to continue to build bone and to keep our bones strong. So that's the method. This is something to experiment with. I'm going to demo it first, and then you can decide what works for you. We stand on our resistance band, and we need a fairly light one, a fairly lightweight one. I tried to do it with the red band, but it wasn't long enough for me, so I'm just going to give this to you as an option, depending on what you've got as a set. So we're going to squat down and bring the fists up by the shoulders, and then see if you can extend up any amount, depending on your level of like the length of your band. So these are squats with resistance. We want to keep pressing into our heels, not so that we don't hurt our knees. So it took me a little bit to find the color of band that I needed that worked for that. So keep testing. Squeezing the glutes on the way up. We're having a bit of a leg day today. All right. Let's do our step up to balance. So if you're on the floor, it looks like this. Step forward, lift the knee up, hold it. Step back down, feet together. Step forward, knee up, hold it. Step back, feet together. If you're using stairs, it adds a little bit of complexity. Or if you have one of those old aerobic stair steppers that were very popular there for a while, you could use that. So it's step up, hold, step back down, feet together. And if steps aren't convenient to you during class, you can always do this after class. This is a little bit more of a balance challenge because you're having to change elevation. Do 5 to 15 on each side. I like to do one side and then switch. Switch sides when you're ready. This is also using those muscles of the low back. So listen in. If your low back starts to get fatigued, listen to that. Even if you did more on one side than on the other, stop. So finishing up whenever it's right for you, and we'll make our way to the floor. So you've got your mat. We'll do some flexibility. If you have a roller, foam roller, it feels really good to roll out the sides of the hip. Do it with this so it's easier to see. Feels really good to roll out on the sides of the glute. Doesn't feel so good to go down the thigh on the IT band. And switch and sit on it. Roll out. Feels really good. It helps your muscles stay mobile in between massages. Roll on the other side. And then you can roll on your back if it feels safe for your spine. So that's called self-massage. And let's do some spinal circles. You can start and end every workout with self-massage. After you get used to it, you just want to do it because it feels so good. At first, it hurts. Spinal circles. And then change direction. And then legs out in front of you. Let's go into staff pose. So shoulders back and down, palms alongside hips, fingers pointing to the feet, toes come toward the nose. The whole foot comes toward the nose. Tuck the chin, engage the pelvic floor muscles so they're lifting, navel toward spine. Hinge forward, hands to shins. All right. Let's do a reverse plank. So hands come behind the back and we can lift our hips any amount, maybe half an inch, or even farther. And then come back down and hinge forward. Do 3 of those. And then separate the feet into a wide leg seat. We want to press through the heels and the foot comes back toward the nose. So stretching out through the inner thigh, back of the thigh, place our hands on our shins, lift through the spine. And we are going to slowly allow our body to soften as we bring our hands closer to our ankles. Gazing at the floor. continue sinking in. And maybe we get to the point where we can hinge enough that we can reach our toes. Maybe not. Maybe we can reach our fingers. Maybe you can just go right to your fingers around the bottom of your foot. Listen to your body. Kind of settle in and hang out. Keep breathing. Nice, big, deep breaths. If you have any pain of compression in your low back, then this one's not for you. We want tension, but not pain. We're feeling compression in the hip flexors, maybe tummy. So we feel tension and compression, but not pain. Come back out of that. Let's go into our driving the car. So this is really good for hips since we're kind of having ourselves a little leg day here. We will separate our feet, lean back on our sacrum, hang on to our imaginary steering wheel, and we'll take our knees over to the side. And the other side. It doesn't have to be very far at first. So we're holding on to our steering wheel, imaginary steering wheel, driving our car, which helps us activate those core muscles. Maybe we can roll through more, maybe not. We listen to our knees. We don't move our knees in a manner that they're not meant to bend in, especially if you have a knee replacement. If you have a hip replacement, this may not be right for you. You need to follow your doctor's advice. And there's driving the car. Let's go into bound angle. Again, if this is safe for your knees, come up on your sit bones. Soles of the feet are together, hanging onto our feet. Spine is elongated, shoulders are down. Gaze at the feet. We can butterfly the knees if we want. You can walk your sit bones closer to your heels if you need more stretch. Hinge forward any amount. And let's make our way to our backs. We are going to go up into bear pose first. So it's as if we're walking on the ceiling with our hands and our feet. Come down into happy baby. So we take peace fingers, grab onto our big toes, pull in our knees, rock side to side. And if this is what it feels like your body really needs, feel free to just spend the rest of your practice here in Happy Baby if that feels supportive for you today. Giving ourselves a back massage. And then we bring the soles of our feet together any amount. Grab on above the ankles. So this is like bound angle in the air. I'm pressing my elbows into my thighs just for stability. We can rock side to side or stay stationary. And then come in and hug the knees into chest. Depending on how your knees feel, you can grab on behind the thigh and hug those knees in, or you could hug in from the shins. You can rock side to side. Bring the soles of the feet to the floor. And we'll do half bridges on the floor. So we've got our arms alongside side of the body, palms down. We're going to lift up, hold for a second, and then come down. 2, 3, 4. Lift up, squeeze the glutes, hold for a second, and then release the glutes as you just come down to the floor. If you haven't done half bridges on the floor recently, but you've been doing our you've been doing it on the ball, just notice how much easier it is now than it used to be before we started doing all this strength training. You could lift and hold, and you could stay there. As you come down slowly. Nice. Let's do wind blowing pose. So we'll hug the right knee in first, straighten the left leg. Both ankles are flexed. Other side. Moving air through our intestinal tract. Back to both knees hugged in, rock side to side. Feet back to the floor, arms out to T, palms down, knees to the right, gaze to the left. Nice twist. Other side. Knees up, and let's straighten our legs. Shavasana. Perfect timing. Corpse pose. So we've got our feet separated. We've got our palms up. Arms are away from the body. We have one job, and that is to melt into our mat as if it was a July day, 110 in the shade, and we are a pat of butter. So we are melting into the sidewalk on a hot summer day as a pat of butter. So sinking and softening to from the toes all the way up to the hips. Each leg. From the hips to the shoulders, sinking in. Shoulders to fingers, sink. The neck, the throat, the jaw, all of the muscles of the face feel like they're sliding off toward your ears. Soft brow, soft scalp. Deep belly breath. If you're ready, you can make your way over to your side and press yourself up to seated. If not, feel free to stay in Shavasana for about 5 minutes. And there is our practice.